This is gritty, gritty, gritty. This is real. This is our space. Confessions of a creative. Confessions of a creative. Confessions of a creative. Welcome back to Confessions of a Creative. My name is Dee, so let's get into this. So today we are talking about creating in times of difficulty. We creatives relate to the world completely differently than other people. However, at this time, work cannot stop because we still have to make a living. So the questions arise, how do we pursue? And certainly everybody is different. But today we are going to be talking to a very special guest about how he has created during a time of difficulty. And I am so excited because it is none other than my little big brother, Durand Blackett. How are you, Durand?
Hi, Deidre. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm awesome. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I am a photographer and I am a marketer. I studied both traditional marketing and digital marketing. But I've also been able to launch my own photography business that goes as far back as 2014.
Yes, awesome. So um, I want you to be able to tell everyone, like, how did you fall into, or do you feel like you fell into photography? Were you always drawn to that? How did your journey as a photographer start, and how did you realize that this was actually a passion of yours?
Well, I didn't know that I wanted to be a photographer when I was a child, but what I do know is that I've always been pretty creative. I'll definitely say that even though I believe that we all have creativity within us, we're all creative creatures. Some of us tend to lean more towards that than others. And so for me, from my early childhood, anything that's artistic, I was drawn to. I drew comics. I was majorly into comics. I would read like Marvel comics, DC comics, and then I would draw the artwork. Whenever I watched certain cartoons, I would draw, and I created a couple of my own comic books. So art was always something that I had a passion for. And then as I got older, I just kind of realized that another visual expression of art is photography. And I picked up the camera. I love the idea of telling stories and trying to figure out when you look at a photograph what was going on in that moment. And so I realized that yeah, it was a passion of mine, and so I've been enjoying it.
Excellent, excellent. I do remember you being always being very creative and artistic. I remember your comics, your drawings. You always had drawings all over the place.
Fortunately for you guys.
Yeah, but you were always good at having an eye for things like that. So when you really got into photography, nobody was very surprised about that at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so how have you personally been able to create during a time of difficulty?
hmm I think that's when all of us as human beings are challenged most. Whether you consider yourself to be a creative or not, it is during our challenges, our difficulties that if we allow ourselves to step back from the situation, we can see opportunities. And so for me, this has not been the first time I've been creating through challenges. I remember when I completed my book, He Picked Up the Pieces, that's available on Amazon. When I completed it in 2018, the process of getting to the completion was difficulty. It was out of my own experiences, my own pain, my own suffering, and you can use that and harness that, so to speak, to help you heal, but also help you to create. And it's both linked. Creativity and creation, the art of creating things, that has a healing aspect to it. So I think if artists take a step back during these difficult times, try to figure out what their emotions are. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling nervous, if you're feeling frustrated and angry, use that to lend a voice to what you're inspired to do. And whatever you do during that time, whatever you create, will have an impact on others who no doubt are feeling the same way.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. Okay, so do you have any advice for any creatives who are trying to break into whatever industry they are looking at?
Definitely. Well, a couple of things is just know from a practical perspective that it's not going to be easy. Oftentimes, there are going to be challenges. And the difference between individuals who want to branch out and become entrepreneurs and those who want to, for example, just get a good job at a corporation is that when you're an entrepreneur, you don't really have that safety net. When you are working for a massive corporation, during the good times and the bad times, you're just going to work for that check. And not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Some people like to be in a corporate setting. Some people want to work for a reputable company that is established, and that is great. But if you're creative and you want to build something on your own, it begins and ends with you. And so knowing that firstly will help you with your mindset. You'll know to expect the challenges, but also know that challenges are like the waves of the sea. You have the ups and the downs. Because it's difficult now, don't doesn't mean it will be difficult next week or will be difficult 2 years from now. So if it's challenging, know that there will be an end. So you have to just persist in your art, in developing your craft. A lot of artists I know are naturally gifted, and they kind of trade on that, their natural talents and gifts and abilities. In this day and age, how competitive our market is, we have to be more than that. We have to really take time to continue to study what it is that you're passionate about, continue to practice, hone your craft, become a master at it, and that'll help you cut through the noise in the marketplace. You can't trade on your raw talent.
I love that. That's very true. Because as you were saying just now, like the market is so competitive,
Mhm.
you have to continually up your game. And although this might be your love, which for creatives it usually is your love, and you're naturally talented, there's still some um, technical things I
Mhm.
would say that you can always improve on to stay relevant, especially if your craft is your work, if you're making money from it. And that's what makes the journey of the creative entrepreneur so different than to a regular entrepreneur.
Mhm.
We actually create and are artists in in all of our own rights. So with that comes technical proficiency. So we do have to keep, refreshing and upping our game for sure.
Exactly.
And one thing I do think that helps the creative and give us a little edge is the fact that because it's a passion, while work is work, and when you're studying or you're practicing, it's not going to always feel fun. Because it's your passion, you go the extra mile, and that kind of holds you um, grounded or anchored, so you don't get into a tailspin, so to speak. So
Exactly. That's a very good point.
yes,
And
yes, yes.
actually,
So
to that point, I would just add this, Deidre, is the fact that for artists, the ongoing challenge that all creatives and artists face is the fact that what do you attribute as the value of your work, and how do other people perceive the value of your work? So, for example, if you are a makeup artist or even a photographer, and you charge a price for your work, is that value perceived by others? Do others see it? I mean, there will always be the individuals that will challenge the price, but if you take the time and you not only increase your knowledge base and your knowledge level, but also increase your proficiency, and you just grow as an artist, then when you attach a price to it, you can feel confident in that price and that value, and you'll just bring that confidence to whatever project you're involved in.
I love that. That's so true. Yeah, that is, I couldn't have said it any better. So, lastly, I want to know, where do you draw your inspiration from?
That's a good question. I think I think another way of putting that might be where don't I draw my inspiration? Um,
Interesting.
I think if you, I think we can narrow ourselves down if we just say, okay, it's for me, it's just I listen to pop culture, or I follow it and see what's going on in the world, or I think that our entire lives are endless opportunities for inspiration. And so I draw my inspiration from family, I draw my inspiration from friends, I draw my inspiration from music, from pop culture, yes, and just the wider environment, whatever in the moment resonates with me. And whenever also I get an emotional response, because oftentimes it's about the way something makes you feel. For you, Deidre, as a makeup artist, I'm sure the greatest feeling is when you do someone's face or do their makeup, and afterwards you can see that they love it. They're blown away, and therefore there's an
Absolutely.
emotional response, right? So the same is for me. Whatever moves me, it also inspires me, and so I try to find a way to incorporate that into what I do.
I see. I see. Okay, so can you, before you sign off, can you let us know where we can follow you on social media?
Well, I've recently, during all of this, I've recently been taking time to rebrand and refocus. I'm working on a couple of projects, and I have you involved in some of those projects as well. So I think we're really excited about the future and what we'll be doing together. But my official Instagram for my business is Durand Blackett Photography. So you can find me on Instagram, Durand Blackett Photography, and also on Facebook.
Okay,
And yeah, that's
sorry.
it. That's it.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much for being one of my first guests. And I'm sure we're going to be hearing some more from you in the future. So, everyone, please go and follow Durand and stay safe. And I will talk to you guys soon.